Hello everyone, it's Monday, it's the 8th of June, and I am a happy boy. I'm a happy boy because my desk is really tidy, but also because I have a new computer. My old computer, as you know, or you may know, had been playing up for a while, and then mysteriously fixed itself just as my brand new one arrived. But I have a new fancy, fairly future-proof computer set up and running, installed, and we've become best friends forever, or for at least as long as it lasts, which hopefully will be a good few years. A couple of things about getting a new computer well, I realised that it's so much easier now than it used to be, because you just log into your Google account, your Gmail, whatever, and your Chrome, and all your passwords, all your bookmarks, everything are just there quite seamlessly. Been a few little glitches where I've had to work hard to reinstall some software which I couldn't find at first, but it's been good. Most curiously, setting up my speaker system and microphone system for recording, I discovered that I had all kinds of options as to what I could make my voice sound like, or what I could make, how I could change the effect of my voice in the room, or when I play something through my speakers, it could change the way that sounds so that it sounds like I'm in a particular kind of room. And there were quite a few options when it came to the kind of rooms I could be in. The usual suspects: a concert hall, an amphitheater. There were also things like a forest or a plane, a sewer pipe, a bathroom, some rather odd ones. Quite curiously, the one that works best for my study is a setting called Padded Cell. So there you are. Take that or leave it. On Mondays, as I have been in the habit of doing, I've been suggesting something to do as part of coping with being in lockdown, managing ourselves. Some of that's been about ways of praying, ways of reflecting. Quite a lot of it's been quite focused and quite immediate in the reality of our lives in the midst of coronavirus. But today I wanted to talk about something completely different. I don't know what last week was like for you, and I'm not suggesting that we take our foot off the pedal of paying attention to the news as it is and the realities of what coronavirus continues to teach us about the inequality in our world, alongside the racism that is so endemic and pervasive. It's just one of the kind of isms that shapes our world for ill and never for good. But it is important to be able to step back. I've had quite a few conversations with people recently who've been expressing a little bit of disappointment in themselves, I suppose. And I think I've felt the same to an extent. I have books that I bought to read when I was on my sabbatical 3 years ago that I still haven't read. They sit on a particular part of my shelf, waiting for me to dip into them. And one of the things that I anticipated, maybe a little naively, was that during this coronavirus time, there would be lots of time and space to explore, to read, sorry, I'm about to sneeze. To catch up, to have the ability to feed my mind and feed my faith and feed my interests, and I think a lot of people felt the same. Almost that there was a pressure on us at this time to somehow grab hold of it and make the most of it, in the kind of learning opportunities that were there, and exploring, and as our lives were restricted, so we could broaden our minds and broaden our knowledge and broaden all kinds of things. I think the truth for myself and for many people is that we just haven't had the emotional capacity to do very much of that. It's been wearying and intense. And last week is a perfect example of how wearying and intense our world can be. If we've paid attention to it and appropriately felt the pain of people and the planet and the structures and systems that we've just assumed and relied on, how deeply unfair they are and what they continue to do, it's not surprising that in the course of a week like last week, any day in these last 11, 12 weeks of our life in the UK and around the world, we haven't had much capacity to do much of that great broadening and expanding. So today I want to suggest a couple of places to go where you might not so much engage intellectually with the world, but just escape a little bit if you need to, because we all need to do that. That doesn't mean we don't care about the issues of the day. but it is important to balance the intensity with some playfulness and some gentle exploring of things. Excuse me. That might be appropriate. So one of the things that I saw very early on when coronavirus began was that there were a number of links to museums that you could visit virtually. And I want to simply suggest today that if you'd like to, get onto Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Firefox or whatever browser you use and just type in virtual museum and see what pops up. There are articles from The Guardian, from other places that give you lists of the sort of top 10, top 12, of course that's always someone's opinion, and it's mostly history and art. But there are fascinating places you can go to and have short virtual tours in, from the Roald Dahl Museum in this country to all kinds of little quirky places which you might find if you do a little bit of digging and enjoy doing that. And the other place to go, if you'd like a little bit of stimulation in all kinds of ways, to go to the TED Talks website. If you've never come across TED Talks are part of a kind of global movement to just have people who are experts or who are knowledgeable in certain areas tell us something about what they do and its impact on our lives. And some of it is deeply serious and some of it is wonderfully, it would seem irrelevant. But if you want to go and have a look at some TED Talks, you can you can today have a look at a talk about how to recognize your white privilege and use it to fight inequality. That's very fresh. You could also look at a day in the life of an ancient Peruvian shaman if you wanted to. You could ask how to support witnesses of harassment and build healthier workplaces. You could explore what is phantom traffic and why is it ruining your life. The case for vermicomposting. I don't even know what that is. But there you are. Why you should read Moby Dick? A good question that someone has taken only 5.5 minutes to answer, which is a lot less than I usually speak for. All kinds of interesting things. All kinds of fascinating things. Are we interrupting the kinky sex lives of fish? Now, if you didn't know the answer to that question, then there's 12 minutes and 22 seconds of a TED Talk looking at that topic. Our minds do matter, and our hearts matter, and our lives matter. And in the midst of all of the intensity of this time, there is the space for us to choose whatever we can that helps us to escape from it for a while and just be fascinated by something else. That helps us to engage with something we care about, because there is some time and space to do so, and to do so carefully. But as I come back to my new computer, one of the things that I've heard people say again and again during this time in all kinds of forums is, if this had been 10 years ago, if this had been 20 years ago, what difference would that have made in terms of the technology we have and how we are able to access so much, how we are able to meet online in large virtual meetings, how we are able to share videos and almost seamlessly through the joys of fast broadband, stay connected with each other, explore things, learn things, communicate, get our news, have the world essentially at our feet in whatever room you're in, whether it's your living room or my padded cell. So today I want to invite you, not that you need it, but to remind you perhaps that it's good to explore. It's good to explore. And if art's your thing, if history's your thing, if culture's your thing, in the musicals and the drama and the opera and the opportunities that have been put together online to take part in performances that we can't physically attend but can still be part of, in TED Talks, in museums, in the quirkiness of the things that people think are important and want us to know about. There are lots and lots of places to go to just escape for a while, or to scratch an itch in a direction that we think we have about something we'd like to find out about, or just to be interested, to be curious, to be maybe quite sure that you're never going to get to the Museum of Modern Art that's in Seoul in South Korea, but that today, with a cup of tea in your chair, sitting in your house, you can go, and you can have a good look around, and you can learn some things, and you can be fascinated, you can be bored, you can be whatever you want to be. But the world quite literally is our oyster when we have a screen in front of us. And I, for one, have enjoyed dipping into all kinds of curious and quirky things that I may not otherwise have done, had it not been for a little bit of time and space to escape from the intensity of this time and to take part in the great global curiosity of what it means to be a human being with ideas and thoughts and all that goes along with that. So have some fun, do some exploring. That's it for today. If that's deep and profound for you today, that's great. But I wanted to remind myself again that we can only hold the intensity for so long. We can only look at what's immediately in front of us for so long. And then we need to look elsewhere. And we go to arts, we go to culture, we go to storytelling, we go to science, we go to education, we go to research, we go to passion and fascination. And we ask other people to invite us into their lives for a moment, to help us know ourselves and our world a little better. So enjoy. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Skeptics Anonymous again, or Skeptics Corner, should I say. And tomorrow we'll be thinking about the idea of original sin, the idea within the Christian tradition in some parts that we are literally born stained and dirty, and we are born already condemned by God. Where that comes from and what options there are with regards to understanding what sin might be in our lives, what that is in the first place, and just posing some questions about what we do with that idea and whether it helps us know ourselves or know God any better than some of the others that are around. So maybe see you tomorrow, but for now, go and find a museum and enjoy yourself. Cheers.